This is Matt Hurt at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter.
This is Tiny at Obsessive Tiny on Letterboxd.
This is Ben Sears at Ben Sears on Letterboxd.
And this is ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast. I did not have my notes up at all.
Shocking.
Yes. Hi. Hello and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer. We're a movie and TV podcast that covers a specific topic, be it genre, trope, movie, or show each episode. You can find more of our podcasting at obsessiveviewer.com/podcasts. And, oh God. You can also like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at facebook.com/theobsessiveviewer. And if you'd like to support what we do here, you can become a patron at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer, where at the $1 per month level, you'll get access to over 125 exclusive B-roll episodes. And at the $2 a month level, you get that plus TV reviews and reactions. I've done weekly recaps of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And also, I have a complete series kind of reaction to NBC Superstore. And then at the $5 level, you get all of that, plus commentary tracks for movies like Ex Machina, Throne of Blood, Sunshine, and Seven. And finally, at the $10 per month level, you get access to all of that, plus early access to podcast episodes and previously unreleased content. Again, that's at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. So... okay, that was a mouthful. So I am joined today by Tiny and Ben. How are you guys doing tonight?
Bueno.
Wonderful.
Nice. We just recorded a very lengthy Patreon B-roll episode. Do you guys want to share your thoughts about that and try to get people to subscribe?
Yeah, there's a lot going on in the world today, so we had a lot of things to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah, it's 420, so...
oh, shit, yeah.
Wink, wink.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, what was it? Oh, okay. So I'm in a group chat with my friends Molly and Yuri, and I don't do drugs or anything, and I've never done the marijuana or anything. But I just said this to them this morning, like when I was like in bed and I was like trying to get up to get ready for work and everything. But it sounds like the most stonery thought like ever. And like, this is why I don't do drugs or anything, because this is me default. This is me sober. But my message was, what if hair just kept growing after people died? And instead of grass, cemeteries just had hair coming out of the ground that was all different colors and consistency that needed to be cut and mowed regularly.
The fuck is wrong with you?
Is this the newest Q drop or something?
I think so. This was actually when I was. It wasn't when I was in bed. It was when I was at work. But that was at 7:24 a.m. So yeah. Anyway,
You would be so annoying high.
As opposed to how I am sober.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about that? The idea that hair might grow and
That's terrifying.
not right?
That's
It
yeah.
would be kind of cool.
It's gross.
Yeah. But then I thought about capitalism and everything and how, cemeteries and like funeral homes would build that into it. Like, well, you're not going to have to worry about this now, but here in like probably 80 years, like your ancestors are going to have to help with the upkeep on that when it starts growing out of the ground. So
Stop thinking about this, please.
Okay.
This episode is off to a great start.
It really is.
So weird.
Okay. Speaking of weird, tonight we are going to be reviewing the HBO Max original docuseries Q Into the Storm, which is a 6-episode docuseries documenting the rise and, dear God, hopefully fall of the QAnon conspiracy dipshit stuff. And so this premiered on HBO Max and on March 21st, and we're going to talk about that. here in a bit, but I do have some stuff that I want to talk about before we get into it. So kind of in terms of housekeeping and feedback, I do want to mention one thing that I haven't gotten a chance to talk about on Anthology, which is my solo podcast. If you guys want to hear me talk about The Twilight Zone as a first-time viewer, I personally, I'm not fishing for compliments, guys, but I am on a roll with releasing Anthology episodes. Like, I don't think I've ever been this productive with Anthology, like, ever. So I have, like, a few episodes, like, in the can. Like, if, I don't know, if the Secret Cabal abducts me tonight to like, pump me full of adrenochrome and like eat me or something, I already have 3 Anthology episodes ready and scheduled, and like it'll upload.
Damn, bro.
I know.
Well, that's
I'm
a
so
relief.
happy. I know, right? But the reason I bring that up is because one of the biggest things, one of the biggest irritations that I have with the Twilight Zone in terms of the 2019 Jordan Peele produced reboot, which Tiny joined me on to review the first season on Anthology. But one of the issues that I have with the criticisms of that is that people were like, oh, there's too many politics and current events in this. It's nothing like the original Twilight Zone. It's too woke and everything, and it's too reliant on its messaging and everything. And it's like, it's presupposing that science fiction is separate from social commentary.
Right.
And that always bothered me. But this run of episodes of the original series that I am at now in the podcast just made me even more angry at that reaction, because there's an episode called, in season 3, I think it's like episode 6, it's called The Mirror, where Peter Falk plays a Central American revolutionary who is literally patterned after Fidel Castro. And this episode was written like a few months after the Bay of Pigs invasion.
Wow.
And everything. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, not political at all or anything. And then the episode, like 2 or 3 episodes after that, there's an episode where a Nazi general goes back to Dachau concentration camp and is faced with the consequences of his inhumane and his horrific actions at Dachau. Am I pronouncing that right?
Dachau. Yeah.
Dachau.
Yeah.
And like, I'm just like, okay, yeah. So, I mean, the new Twilight Zone had an episode about police brutality and a police officer killing a black man. But no, we don't want to be too political on the Twilight Zone. Like, God, fucking shut up.
Not just Twilight Zone either, but a lot of sci-fi.
Oh, yeah.
Like
absolutely.
The Day the Earth Stood Still, one of the most famous sci-fi movies of all time, is really about like self-destructive, all kinds of social commentary there.
Yeah. Planet of the Apes has like evolution versus creationism kind of stuff.
Right. Even something as modern as like Avatar. All kinds of social commentary.
Unobtainium.
Yeah. Right.
It, like that's a good point. Avatar is like, it's really about like pumping in as much money as you can to make a shitty movie. And that's about consumerism and everything.
Oh my God, man. I knew I
Glad
should.
we can finally talk about the issues here.
Yes.
Knew I should. Arrival then. I'll say Arrival.
Oh God, I love Arrival.
Thank you.
Can't wait for Dune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all sci-fi. It's a pretty common thing in sci-fi actually.
Yep.
So I agree with you.
Yeah. But at least like the biggest science fiction property, dare I say the biggest IP on the planet doesn't have any toxic fans or anything.
Yeah, Star Trek. I know, right?
I wish Star Trek was like as big as Star Wars. But apparently Star Trek also has that same issue. Like Star Trek Discovery, people are like, oh, there's too many politics. And like, it's, I don't know. Anyway.
People are stupid.
They are.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening to the Obsessive Viewer, guys. Okay. So before we get into our review and everything, a trailer dropped. Do you guys want to talk about the Shang-Chi trailer?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so Shang-Chi comes out in
September,
yeah. And it stars Simon Liu, who is in, or was in, since it got canceled, Kim's Convenience. Have you guys seen that show at all?
No.
Nope.
Okay, it's pretty good. It's the misadventures of a Korean Canadian family running a convenience store. It's on Netflix. It's really good. Like it's a lot of fun. But yeah, anyway. So Shang-Chi is a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. And what'd you guys think of the trailer for it?
It looks pretty kick-ass. Like, I think this movie seems like one of those what ifs where there's a bunch of like potheads like sitting around talking about like, what if like you had a really kick-ass martial arts movie, but it had all the money and the power of Marvel Studios behind it. Like, that's what this looks like.
Right.
So, I mean, I know nothing about the source material, didn't recognize any of the actors, but I was like, I'm on board. This is freaking cool.
Same. Yeah, I had no intention. I mean, I'm sure I probably would have gone to see it at some point, but it was very low on my radar, and I just watched the trailer earlier today, and yeah, it looks great. I am a little preemptively worried about Awkwafina and her role as the comedic relief, which, I mean, she's funny and she's good, but I just hope that it's not, one of those kind of basic roles.
Yeah.
I had a similar thought because it was like, well, this is like, a movie heavily featuring Asian people, so we have to get Awkwafina for it.
Right.
Even though it may not be the right kind of role for her, or kind of like lowest common denominator for her. I don't know. I'm not sure, but
yeah.
I had a similar thought, yeah.
I'm so back and forth on Awkwafina and everything because I loved her performance in The Farewell.
Yep.
But every like Awkwafina-y performance is like tone it down just a little bit.
Yeah, she was pretty annoying in Crazy Rich Asians. So,
did you guys ever see her show on Comedy Central? I forget exactly what it was called.
No.
Something from Queens or something.
Oh, I saw it advertised, but I don't. Yeah, no, I never saw it.
No.
In other news also related to the MCU, by the way, Shang-Chi is called Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because I believe the Ten Rings is like a terrorist villain organization in the Marvel canon. That is, they were the ones that took Tony Stark. I think that was the implication in Iron Man 1, that they were the ones that held him hostage and everything in the cave. Yeah, so I don't know.
Just another talisman.
No, yeah.
Like the Infinity Stones or the Mother Boxes or the...
right.
What's it called? The Anti-Life Equation.
Yeah.
What's the Anti-Life Equation?
Justice League.
Snyder Cut.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things. What's another one? I don't know. Yeah.
Comic book movie's gonna comic book movie.
Numerical Talisman.
Yes. Yeah. That's my rap name. Okay, and then the final kind of thing, or another thing on that same subject, is that I can't find the news articles about it, but Black Widow, it's going to come out in July, and is it going to be day and date with theater and Disney Plus?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. What do you guys think? What do you guys think of that?
I never was overly excited about it just because it feels...
because it has a woman in it?
No, because it feels perfunctory.
It
feels like they're just like, well, we have to give her a movie, so let's do this. And it just...
Yeah.
It could totally be good, and I'm going to see it for sure, but it feels kind of fan service-y, and it feels almost like inauthentic. 5 years too late.
I was just going to say, it feels like 5 or 6 years too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I hope it's good.
I am a little morbidly curious, though, because, I mean, it's got Florence Pugh and David Harbour, so...
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Those are big marks in its favor, so...
Right.
I am very much... I'm looking forward to it specifically because of Florence Pugh. I love Florence Pugh. I think she's very talented and awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I'm looking forward to that.
The Shang-Chi trailer, though, did make me even more excited for the... is it the Eternals that Chloe Zhao directed?
Yeah, Eternals. That's going to come out at some
It's not
point.
coming out this year, is it?
I want to say it at one at one point it was. Who the fuck knows now?
They probably delayed it till like May of next year.
As of right now, according to IMDb, it's expected November 5th, 2021.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm looking forward to that. I mean, the cast, Jesus. Angelina Jolie, Salma Hayek, Richard Madden, Gemma Chan, Kit Harington, wow, Brian Tyree Henry, oh god, what, Kumail Nanjiani, of course. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah.
Ben, how do you feel about the kind of trend, and maybe we've talked about this before, but the trend of Marvel kind of scooping up more kind of like indie or acclaimed filmmakers for big blockbustery stuff?
I don't mind it. I think it's an interesting way to go. Because it gives them a chance to like put their own kind of personal spin on these superhero formulas, you know, like I don't know what a different director would have done with Black Panther.
Right.
I'm trying to think of other examples of that we've gotten so far, really. I mean...
Well, actually, not even Marvel, but Star Wars, Rian Johnson, The Last Jedi. Yeah.
I know that pretty much everyone just says, like, especially with Chloe Zhao, like, they're just afraid that she'll just get sucked into the Marvel machine. But I don't really foresee that happening a whole lot.
Yeah.
I feel like, especially with her, granted, I've never talked to her or anything, but
yet.
I feel like she has more important stories to tell or more personal stories to tell. So I don't think she's been working her whole life just to get on the Marvel payroll.
Right. And I think this is where it kind of comes into that whole, like, one for them, one for me kind of old adage of Hollywood. Tiny, what do you make of this?
What make of what? Sorry, I didn't.
Like independent filmmakers, or like, you know, filmmakers that are like on like festival circuits or like critically acclaimed stuff jumping to Marvel because they're a hot commodity.
I'm all for it. Just because I think it kind of breaks up not the monotony, but it breaks up the patterns, I guess. I've always thought it'd be cool to see like a highly stylized director do Iron Man. Like how crazy fucking cool would it be to see Terry Gilliam do Doctor Strange?
Oh god. Oh Jesus.
You know what I'm saying? Or like David Lynch doing the Hulk.
Right.
You know,
or like Soderbergh or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
But like, I mean, it didn't work out that great with Hulk in 2004.
Oh yeah.
Ang Lee, which
I never saw it.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I think it kind of gets unfairly ripped a little bit, but it was a little too cerebral and kind of goofy. But anyways, I don't think we should judge or base the whole premise on that one movie. I think that'd be cool to do, but I don't think it's going to be a thing. Really, it's too risky, I guess. That's not what most people want from their superhero movies. Marvel wants to sell toys, and merch.
The comparison to Ang Lee's Hulk is interesting because that came like before like the big comic book boom.
Before the MCU blew up, right?
Yeah, and like I think, granted I haven't seen that movie, but I understand like you said, it's kind of a creative spin or a very specific spin on a comic book property. But I would wager that it's incredibly difficult, for nigh impossible, for like a Chloe Zhao or another filmmaker that's been enlisted into Marvel's machine, to have them do something like specifically unique to their style, like on that level of Hulk.
Yeah.
Because it's part of that tried and true decade-long machine of the MCU. So
right.
Yeah, but I don't know.
It's still a business at the end of the day.
Yeah. So anyway,
have you guys watched any other trailers for that you're excited for, or anything worth talking about?
So I'm going to, assuming that we do a potpourri section, I'm going to talk about a movie in Potpourri.
Okay.
But I want to sidebar and talk about my experience watching that movie in this section. So, in a roundabout way, I did see some trailers because I went to the movie theater.
Hey, girl.
Yes. It's hashtag hot girl summer. But no, I went to the movie theater yesterday at 4:50 p.m. In Indianapolis. No, so I am working full days in the office now. I'm vaccinated. Yesterday was the 2-week date of getting the vaccine, the Johnson & Johnson. So I am considered fully vaccinated and everything. And I don't want to say that I'm a hero, but I'm a superhero. And so I've long said that the second I'm able to go see a movie in the theater, I'm going to go see a movie in the theater. Because I had not been inside a physical movie theater since March 11th, 2020, and that is by far the longest I've ever gone without going to see a movie in the theater. Asterisks on that, I did see, Vertigo and Rear Window at Tibbs Drive-In last year, but I have not been in a physical movie theater in over a year. So, after work, I went to the AMC on the South Side, and I saw a movie. So I was very excited. I'm legitimately excited. This was a big moment for me because I hadn't been in the theater for a long time, and it was funny because the movie I saw was Voyagers, and a month ago or a month and a half ago, I saw the trailer for it, and I even tweeted about, this movie looks just absolutely horrendous. And then when I was looking at the times and everything for the showtimes for the movies, I was like, this is the only this is the only showtime that matches up with my schedule. So I went and saw Voyagers. I'll talk about that in Potpourri. But the experience of going into the movie theater just felt just so good. It felt just really soothing to my soul. It's really cool. That's it.
Nice.
Yeah. But when are you guys gonna go?
I don't know. I haven't really set a date or anything like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I believe we talked about it last time, but I'll definitely be there for Quiet Place Part 2.
Yeah. Oh, I
Memorial
did see the trailer
Day
for that
weekend.
again. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. I forget if we've talked about this on or off mic before, but there is a new theater that's open in Indy. Either of you guys heard much about it?
No.
Where is it?
It's part of the new Bottle Works district downtown, off of Mass Ave.
Yeah.
It's called the Living Room Theaters.
Mm-hmm. I've heard about it. I don't know much of anything about it.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly how many screens it's got, but I want to say 5 or 6. If you go to their website, they've got a pretty good lineup. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a mix between the Keystone Theater and just a regular, AMC or whatever. I think they've got Godzilla versus Kong, but they've also got really small indie movies and international movies that you don't even see at Keystone. So I don't know. I'm excited to check it out. The pictures that I've seen, it looks really cool.
Nice.
So
that's awesome. I'm glad they finally remodeled that area over there. It really needed it.
Yeah, and I haven't really I haven't been inside any of the other buildings or anything, but
yeah,
I mean it's all over Instagram and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I've heard the is it called the Garage where all it's like a food court basically?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I want to go there. That looks really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at the website ind.livingroomtheaters.com.
Yeah. And it's a super small chain. There's only 3 theaters that this company has across the country.
Yeah, if you go to livingroomtheaters.com, it has the 3. It has Indianapolis, Indiana, Boca Raton, Florida, and Portland, Oregon.
Nice.
That's interesting. And I need to figure out when, what Can Cinema is doing. Because, goddamn, that place. Yeah. I feel so terrible for them. Because, within a month before everything shut down, like I went with some colleagues from the IFJA to tour that building because they were about to open, and we even talked about it here on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything shut down. Like, I remember when we went to that theater and we were kind of checking it out and everything, giving a tour, like one of the guys was like went to shake my hand, and then he was like, no. And then we bumped elbows. And at that time it was like, that's like the cute thing that we do. But now,
what a time.
Yeah. But I definitely want to check that out.
I have a friend who is kind of in the know with that kind of stuff, and I haven't talked to him about it lately, but I forget when this was, but I saw on their website they're going to do like outdoor screenings of some movies.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, because they were doing a Mad Max Fury Road, but they had to cancel it for weather.
Okay.
Like this past weekend, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can still do like virtual cinema through them. Like, there was one that I was interested in, or like an Oscar movie, I think, that you could buy tickets through their like virtual portal or something.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
you can support them that way.
Yep. Cool stuff. Check that out at, I had the website right here, cancanindy.com. That's KANKAN Indy, INDY.com. Yeah. And then the final thing I want to bring up for this is that speaking of Indianapolis and independent things and film things and festival things, the 2021 Indie Film Fest just announced their lineup and schedule and everything. So I should have had it prepared here. I'm just going to read from the web. Oh, no, I don't really want to read from the website. Yeah, so they're going to do, I guess, a mix of... I'll just read it. Okay, the team came up with a unique way to maximize the virtual experience to create a more manageable way for our fans to discover all of this year's feature films and shorts programs by dividing them up into 3 weekly blocks, running from April 29th through May 19th. Each block will highlight 8 to 9 feature films and 4 to 5 shorts blocks, setting the pace for you to be able to easily gobble up the films our screeners have been so busy curating for the past 6 months. You may want to consider an all-access pass. Bonus, each block will be kicked off with a Thursday night double feature at Tibbs Drive-In, where we'll be showing some cinematic gems in a safe alfresco environment. We're calling it Night Movies, and we think you'll love it. So Indie Film Fest, they are doing the virtual thing as well as Tibbs Drive-In screenings again this year. I've got to say, last year, the virtual cinema stuff worked like gangbusters with Indie Film Fest. So I'm looking forward to checking that out here. What do you guys what do you guys think of Indie Film Fest?
I browsed a little bit through their lineup earlier today, and I mean, I didn't recognize most of them, but there was one that I did, and I think both of you, I know, Matt, at least you did watch from Heartland last year, Belly of the Beast.
Yeah.
Did you watch that one, Tiny?
Belly of the Beast, yeah. We reviewed it.
That one, yeah.
Okay, so that one's going to be there too.
Nice.
There's a short that was on the short list for the Oscars called Da Yi that ended up not getting nominated, but I watched it before the nominations were announced, and I enjoyed that one. So a good option there for shorts. I know the opening film at Tibbs is called like The Dry, and it stars Eric Bana.
Yeah.
So
Hulk himself.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm just browsing the website here. So I'm gonna try to check out some stuff at Indie Film Fest, and that's nice. It reminds me. It still has me logged in from last year. Anyway, and so maybe we can do an episode after it's done.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay.
If we all kind of see something, see something, say something. So that's Indie Film Fest. Go to, I think it's indiefilmfest.org for more information there. And do we have enough preamble? Is this enough? Enough to before we get into our review.
Tis.
Okay, so we are going to be reviewing Q Into the Storm, the 6-episode docuseries on HBO Max, and all that. So we're going to do a non-spoiler, I guess, if that's possible, for Q Into the Storm, and then we'll do a separate spoiler section. So I'm going to play a clip from the trailer now, and then we're going to go into our non-spoiler review of Q Into the Storm.
In 2018, I set out to chart Q's origins.
I wrote the first part of 8chan while I was coming off of psychedelic mushrooms.
You can really find yourself falling down a hole trying to find out who Q is.
I'm pretty sure Q is a spin-off from Star Trek.
Q is whatever you want it to be. Sometimes they'll even think it's me.
I have a question. You're going through a possible list of who Q might be.
That's right. You're on the list.
Well, let's continue then.
Dun dun dun. Okay, so Q Into the Storm is a documentary series about the QAnon phenomenon. Terrible moment in our current history. Plot summary courtesy of IMDb is when documentary filmmaker Cullen Hoback sets out to uncover the forces behind QAnon, his attention turns to 8chan, the site where Q posts. So, guys, before we get into kind of our non-spoiler thoughts on the docuseries proper, what was your guys' kind of position or knowledge base for the QAnon conspiracy, batshit insanity before going into the docuseries? And yeah, what did you guys think?
Go ahead, Ben.
Total nonsense. I was gonna do a bit, but it's just not worth it.
I know.
Yeah, just total garbage, and only the most gullible people, it seems like, have bought into this. And not only that, but the people who continue to push it along, like the QTube personalities,
Yes.
and the freaking elected Congress people that are pushing it now. And just all of the dangerous stuff that has been brought forth into the world because of it. I wish we could go back to a time when it did not exist.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yes, it would.
I remember, I think it was probably 2018, 2019 was when Q was starting to blow up. I've never been on 4chan, 8chan, or 8kun. I've never been on any of those.
Right.
I'm way too intimidated and frightened to go on there. But like I read some mainstream articles about it, and I actually like went to maybe Reddit where they were posting some of the Q stuff, and I actually like looked through a bunch of the quote unquote data. It was during the Pizzagate thing.
Oh yeah.
And so it was like the raw emails and stuff like that.
And you
like
took your gun
Podesta
to Papa
emails.
John's and
Right. Like the Podesta emails and all that shit. And so I was looking through them, and I remember thinking, I was like, this is fucking weird. Like they're talking about, hey, you want to get a pizza? You want to get a cheese pizza for an hour? I'm like, it's pretty fucking weird. Like, I don't know what this is, but I'm not willing to entertain the notion that there's some fucking child.
Yeah.
You're not
sex
going to make that
trafficking ring.
leap from
Exactly.
one to another.
Right.
And this email could be fucking bullshit. Like, it could be something that somebody totally just made up. Like, I have no, I can't go down this rabbit hole with you. And then like a year or two later, the guy who we were talking about on Patreon,
Patreon.com/obsessiveviewer.
yes, he posted a YouTube video from a YouTuber, I believe, and it was like something about Anthony Bourdain, some like special he did for Discovery or whatever, Nat Geo, whatever like that. And he was supposed to have been part of the sex trafficking, the underground Hollywood child pedophile thing, whatever.
Yeah.
And they were showing clips from this special, and he was at this restaurant with, I think, Barack Obama, and there was a sign on the wall that said, like, all of our products are made from fresh, non-GMO thing. It was like a very arbitrary sign. And they were like, if you trace the origins of this sign back, and I was like, I'm out. Okay, I'm out. I'm done. It was like 5 minutes into this 25-minute video, and I was like, I'm done. There's literally nothing there.
Yeah.
And those are the 2 times that I gave Q any moment of just open-mindedness, and I was like, you had 2 chances, and it was a couple minutes worth of quote unquote or research.
2 chances, one chance I gave you, and second chance hitting the floor.
God damn it. Let it go, Matt. So those are my 2 experiences with Q, and I was not even close to convinced. So it's been a huge boon to politics in the United States, and it's been highly corrosive and just a horrible thing.
It really has, and my kind of history with it has been just actively avoiding it, to the extent that it's just like, okay, it's too batshit insane. It's like, it's way too out there. Just the things that I piece together or put kind of here and there and everything, the pieces that I hear and everything, it's too out there to be anything that I would kind of waste time, entertaining or anything. And like our friend on Facebook, he's all in on it. And like over the last year, I got very aggressive about posting anti-Trump political posts on my Facebook, and he would pop up every now and then and be like, well, what do you think about this? And like, to his credit, he is the one person who would interact with me from the opposite side of the position that I was taking and be actually kind of like respectful, and like, I mean, it's all batshit insanity and everything, but like, we would have a cordial conversation and everything. And having said that, the fact that it originates in like 4chan and 8chan is like, okay, it's literally an anonymous posting on the internet. And like, my big kind of thing was that when I posted about the Atlantic article where Trump is quoted as saying that dead and injured soldiers are losers and suckers, like the just complete knee-jerk reaction from people that are supporters of Trump and people who are supporters of QAnon was that like, oh, so you'll just believe like an unidentified source in this article? I'm like, yeah, that's fucking journalism. Like, they have laws where they cannot print that. Like, they have the source, but they keep that anonymous because that is what journalism is, and they run if they printed a complete fabrication, they would be on the hook for lawsuits and everything. You're following a fucking post from an anonymous source claiming to be a high-ranking official and leaving these just fucking insane breadcrumbs for you to piece together in your fucking echo chamber. What's the word I'm looking for? Like echo chamber, confirmation bias. Echo Chamber, which is my rap name. So anyway, so yeah, that was my position on QAnon and everything. And what did you guys think about the documentary series? How did you feel about the approach to it? It's kind of I don't want to say it's not a fly on the wall thing. It's kind of a journey through multiple years of following some instrumental people behind the scenes of the platforms that the Q drops appear in. And how do you feel about the way that the documentary was presented, and kind of overall broad thoughts, non-spoilers, on the documentary series Q Into the Storm?
Well, it ended up being pretty interesting. I think it was a pretty impressive piece of documentary filmmaking, just for how long this guy stuck with it. Cullen Hoback. He was over 2 years of filming. I mean, almost 3 years of filming. It's pretty incredible. But I feel like the 6-episode run was just, I thought it was kind of taxing. Like, I think it could have been seriously like 2 episodes shorter.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it's not like some of the, there was just some fluff in there, a little bit of fluff in there that some backstory that we didn't necessarily need, and some things were explored more than I think was really necessary, but it wasn't uninteresting. It's just I knew that I wanted him. He was building to a conclusion at the end, and it's like, dude, let's get there. Like this is not serving that purpose. So let's table this and get back to the real issue here. So, I definitely wouldn't use the word sloppy. It's not sloppy at all. It's just it was just a lot. There was kind of a lot of fluff, and so I think it could have been 2 episodes shorter. But there's a lot of really, really impressive, skillful interviewing stuff, and some of the editing is really well done. Yeah. I liked a lot of the graphic stuff too. So
the graphics and the presentation was really cool.
Right.
The other guy that we referenced in Patreon that was following QAnon and has a public Facebook profile, he had posted something saying that like recently saying like if Q is wrong and Q isn't real or whatever, all of that's a hoax or just a conspiracy theory, why are numerous podcasts and HBO putting so much money into discussing it and everything? It's like, because it's showcasing how fucking stupid it is.
They try to take over the country.
Yes. Ben, overall broad thoughts, non-spoiler, Into the Storm.
So I don't know about you guys, but I had pretty much known at least the side of the 8chan stuff with the Watkinses and Frederick. Is Frederick right?
Brennan.
Frederick Brennan. I had already known that stuff before I started this. I don't as much anymore, but I listened to the Reply All podcast, and they did an episode at some point last year where they pretty much talked about this entire side of it, like the drama between the three of them and the theories of who among them could or could not be Q. It even included this stuff with the guy from South Africa. I forget his name. Paul Ferber.
Yeah, he was one of the moderators.
Right.
Yeah. So
it included that. So when that stuff came up, I had pretty much already known about it. So that whole aspect of it wasn't too surprising to me. And I mean, there are definitely some details that the filmmaker brings in that I didn't know about before, like the pig farm stuff was pretty weird, and the porn stuff was pretty weird. So I didn't know that, but the rest of it, like the whole creation of 8chan and the theories of who might or might not be running the Q account, I had pretty much already known all of that going into that. Okay. Plus, like, I mean, the whole origins of Q and the followings of Q and all of this, the whole cult of Q and whatever, it's pretty well documented at this point. Like there's articles, in New York Times and the Atlantic, and just about every major news outlet has run a piece about either what it is about Q that people get sucked into, or just how it has destroyed people's lives and relationships. And so I don't know. That's just what I kind of got from it early on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like destroyed people's lives and relationships because they went all in on it and ruined their relationships with other people?
Yeah.
Good.
It's funny. I had never heard of,
because they isolate themselves so much from other people.
Right.
Yeah.
I had never heard of Fred Brennan or either the Watkinses.
So.
I feel like I heard about the Watkinses in passing, but to your point, Tiny, and kind of my overall thoughts is that it was an engaging documentary series. It was interesting. Yes, it probably was a little too long. And I think the reason for that, from my perspective, is because it morphs more into a documentary series about like 4chan and 8chan and the kind of free speech of it all, I guess, and how like it does take this kind of very long look into how these things fester and create this movement, as misguided and moronic as it is and deadly as it is. It does go into detail about that. What I wanted more of, and it's something that we don't get much of, is a deeper dive into just the pure insanity of the theories. Like they touch on the JFK Jr. thing and like Pizzagate and all that stuff, but it's just more like, okay, this is what they think. And I want, and this is something that was not the thesis statement of the documentary series at all, so I'm not faulting it for it, but I would love to see or read something that explores like why it creates something so like versatile or so infectious into someone's mind. And then also, I wish they would have spent much more time examining the political aspect of it and how it like led to the insurrection in January. That's what I wanted more of. And I don't think it delivered quite as well on that by any stretch. But again, I mean, that's not really what it was going for. But once we got into once the countdown began toward the insurrection, I was much more engaged and interested on that. And I wish that there was more of that.
Yeah, there's one of the QTubers that he interviews. At one point, she says something like you could tell me just about anything right now, and I'd probably believe it. And he's like, what if I were to tell you like aliens exist and they are in that house over there? And she's like, yeah, probably. And like he just kind of
dangerous.
He just kind of like leaves her hanging, you know. And I would have liked to see him like follow up on that and see what exactly it is that she would and would not actually believe.
Was she the one that had the sign on her whiteboard that was something like "My kids have paws" or something?
Maybe she was the one that was like. She used to be like a legit journalist, and then
she was like the blonde lady.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Lived in like Florida or something.
Yeah. I think it would be very fascinating to see for someone to explore the psychology of it, and how these people get sucked in, and then how it's so isolating and similar to the what's the documentary that we saw last year about Trump, like the psychology of Trump.
Hashtag unfit.
Hashtag unfit, yeah. That would be interesting to see professionals explore this.
Yeah.
And it'd be even more depth because that documentary, no one actually talked to Donald Trump, but like these people, the Q people are more than willing to talk to him. So it would be really, they'd have like, firsthand data, and that would be really interesting to see. And so I watched this with my wife, and that's what she thought it was going to be.
Oh, really?
Because like I told her, I was like, hey, there's this documentary about Q. Do you want to watch it with me? And she was like, yeah, I really want to see it.
You guys wore your Q shirts and
totally. But she after the first episode, she's like, yeah, this isn't what I thought I was going to be in. And I was like, well, I can watch it by myself, then you don't have to watch it. But she was a little not turned off, but just she wasn't as intrigued by what it actually was. So anyways, but yeah, I agree, it'd be interesting to see this more fleshed out.
Yeah. And I will say, I mean, it's been, obviously a couple months since I upgraded the equipment and everything, a month and a half, something. I will say that the couple of QTubers that like the man and wife, husband and wife, the pair, there's a shot where I believe their mic stands are these same mic stands.
Oh, shit.
Yep.
Whoa, it's all connected.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
These mic stands are 17 inches long. 17, guys.
17. Oh, shit. But yeah.
They're listening.
Something that I found really, by being kind of disappointed with the route that the documentary series went, I did find like more attachment into it and my attention with the way that it just kind of did put that limelight on the Q followers and how it presented this. Because like the thing that I kept thinking about, and the thing that I've kind of thought about in the couple of weeks since I've seen it, is how and I don't think that it's addressed in the documentary series at all, but it's like this isn't something that just necessarily popped up completely out of nowhere, because we have shit like Jackass Alex Jones and everything, which, by the way, again, referencing the podcast stuff, oh God, what was it? Oh, I don't know what. Oh yeah, that was a whole thing. Anyway, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos about about podcast equipment and everything, and like every single one of them. And I think Tiny, I think you're a fan of this, but every single one of them is like, well, this is the equipment you need if you want to have a good like Joe Rogan sound. It's like, okay, Joe Rogan isn't the only fucking podcaster. Right. Also, I can't fucking stand him, and he gave a fucking outlet to Alex Jones, who fucking harassed the parents of Sandy Hook victims and everything. So fuck him, he's trash. Anyway, so I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, Alex Jones. And then also like the whole, jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams, the 9/11 truther stuff. It feels like that's the precursor to this whole thing. Right. To this Q thing. Yeah. And the other thing that I found really, the other thing that really kind of wrapped me into the kind of narrative or the story of this documentary series is that I equated it to like kind of traditional cult stories, like cults and everything that prop up, and like how they use like a conventional cult, like a Jim Jones or any of the other ones. They come up, they appeal to vulnerable people and manipulate them, and often it's like a power thing or money. They all that. I'm thinking of the movementarians in The Simpsons, the Joy of Sect episode. Yep. The leader is good. The leader is great. We surrender our will as of this date. But it's all kind of at its heart. A lot of cults are about power and sex, violence, all that, and also money and everything. The thing that is deeply disturbing and scary to me about the QAnon phenomenon is that it's much more chaotic than that. It is this fucking like just dumpster fire of a thing, but it's this blanket thing that attracted people. For what end? Like there's no like, I don't understand like what the point was. It's not like a grift or anything. It's just chaos, and that's just deeply disturbing to me.
Yeah, the most disturbing thing to me is they will almost believe anything, distrust pretty much any major trustworthy institution, and any time that they are factually and proved wrong based on evidence, they find some way to twist it into, no, we weren't wrong. This is what they meant. Yep. This is what was happening. So that is what's disturbing about it, and what will likely prevent it from ever fully going away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I agree. What's disturbing is that, like Matt said, like to what end what did they achieve? And and I think I don't know what they were trying to achieve, but I think what they did achieve is they wanted notoriety for themselves. I think that was part of it, and because there wasn't really money involved in this, not really, and I think people who frequent sites like 4chan, 8chan, 8kun are they revel in the idea of being a troll. Yeah. And this is like the ultimate troll. This is like the ultimate troll, and they were hugely successful with it, and that's a really, really horrible reason to rip families apart and partially destroy the democratic process or want to destroy the democratic process. Just the inspiration behind it was one of the more disturbing things.
Yeah, and I think that is kind of the underlying like reason for it being like it wanted to disrupt the democratic process. If the end result was specifically because they wanted to keep Donald Trump in power, or something more nefarious, or just for destabilizing politics in the U.S. or anything, I don't know. But first of all, it's crazy to me that they got kind of close, and it's scary. But also, and this might dip into the spoilers a little bit. We can kind of talk more in specifics and spoilers. I'm trying to think of what spoilers would be. But anyway, it also kind of like that whole idea of like 4chan and 8chan and stuff like that, kind of edgelord, like, oh, I'm going to be as offensive as possible because free speech and everything. That as I've grown into my twilight years, that is just something that I just can't entertain any like at all. Like, it is the dumbest fucking most juvenile bullshit thing.
So juvenile.
It's
Right.
so dumb. And it's like that whole like, oh, you're a snowflake and you're triggered, you're a soy boy or whatever. It's like like just fucking, oh god, just shut up. Like it's not
an argument.
It's not an argument.
Yeah.
It is projection of the highest sort. And it is just the most just dumbass thing. And it's, I mean, again, this is what's going to kind of get into spoilers a little bit, but it is pathetic. Like, it is just blanket term pathetic. And I've known people who, like, frequent, like, 8chan and 4chan, and they get their rocks off on trolling and everything. And I'm like, that's just, it's so dumb. It's so dumb to me. And what I found really kind of a kind of twistedly funny aspect of this documentary series is that a lot of the players involved in the kind of edging or like edging on or edgelording on the QAnon kind of thing seem like they're just as sad and pathetic as as the people that are being roped into it and everything. And like, I don't have any sympathy for really anyone
right
with this, because it is demonstrably it is a chaotic thing that is brought about just for sheer entertainment value for shitty people.
Right. And it has real consequences. I think that's one thing that's disturbing. Like, trolling, for me, I can actually find it very entertaining sometimes, but only when it's, like I said, this has real world consequences. It's not, they treat it like it's just something, right? But you're actually shitting on a person. I think trolling is effective and entertaining when someone is when it's in response to someone being ridiculous, or being an asshole, and trolling them that's when I enjoy it, and I think it's comeuppance, right,
and getting their ire up because they're not responsive to you or anything,
right. That's when I think it's justifiable and when I find it entertaining and fun or whatever. But I think this isn't a spoiler, but like there's an interesting line that Fred Brennan says where he's like he realizes. They reference these shootings that happened, and these shooters post their manifestos on 8chan.
Yeah.
And Fred Brennan says, he said that was where, before that moment, he had seen the internet and these sites like this. He had seen them as a form of entertainment and something fun and a bastion of free speech. But he said after that point, it became too real, and he said it became it affected the real world. It wasn't just on a screen in front of me anymore. Like, it was something that actually overcame that barrier and it has real world consequences. And I thought that was incredibly poignant. It made me think back to when, like 10 years ago, when I had a similar notion. I think it was during the Boston bombing.
Oh yeah.
People were on, I believe, Reddit.
Yeah.
And they were like analyzing photos and like doxing people that like weren't even close to like basically trying to find suspects. And I remember thinking like, wow, this is really dangerous.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And just the concept of doxing someone, it's incredibly dangerous.
Right.
So, yeah. I've had a lot of fun doxing people. No, I'm kidding. Although I technically did in Patreon. I'm gonna have to edit that. But yeah, like things like that, like doxing people. Like, okay, there's a thing that, and I've talked about this on the podcast and probably on Patreon, I'm not sure, but there's a trend on Twitter. I haven't seen it much now, but like anytime like there's like video of like a dude like using the N-word or something, like a white dude like being aggressive towards someone and like calling them like an epithet or something. There's all like someone will post it on Reddit and be like, all right, Reddit, do your thing. And then like the fucking trolls will like find out who this person is and post like dox them, post their information and everything. And like have it be like, well, I'm sure that his employer probably won't like to know this or whatever. So here's the employer's number and everything. It's like, okay, in certain respects, I get a certain amount of schadenfreude out of that, because shitty racism, shitty racist, fuck you. Like that, just blanket statement. If you're comfortable enough to antagonize someone in public and use like very obscene and harmful language at them, that the language itself is a weapon, like that is purpose, like the only context for it, for you to say it is to be, hateful toward them. You deserve any consequences of that. But to have strangers on the internet track this person down and publish their information, like one time that happened, that exact situation happened, and all I kept thinking was like, yeah, this guy is fucking garbage, but also maybe he has a family. You're posting information that can put his family in danger. Like if he has kids, his kids weren't saying that to them or anything. You're publishing his employer's information. He's at like a fucking mall food court. He's not working there. He's not doing this under the name of his employer or anything like that. And like I said, he might have a family. Like, okay, you're purposely seeking out vengeance to get him to lose his income. That kind of thing is like fucking the dangers of the internet.
It crosses the line.
Yeah. But also racist bigot, fuck him. But yeah. So anyway, I got off track of where I was going with that. What were we talking about?
So I have some formatting questions for you guys.
Okay.
Would you have preferred that the documentary stick strictly to the Philippines stuff with the Brennans and the Watkinses and their drama and how that played out?
Like with the whole 8chan thing?
Yeah, just the behind the scenes stuff, and just kind of ignore the stuff about like the rise of Q in the States, because like I said, that aspect of it I feel like has been pretty widely reported. I mean, granted, he started this in the early days of it in 2018, but
I didn't find that interesting actually. The whole 8chan changing hands and stuff like that, and how that the three of them eventually kind of parted ways and became enemies and stuff like that.
The social network type of story.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right, yeah, that's true. Yeah. I didn't find it all that interesting. With the exception of how the law works in the Philippines was kind of fucked up, where he was like facing jail time for slander, I guess, is what it was. That was kind of fucked up, but I don't know. I didn't find it that interesting. I was more, I think obviously you're right that that stuff had been reported about what Q was and how it worked and all that stuff. But I think you had to have it in the documentary, and I wasn't personally as familiar with it as you were. Like I said, I had never heard of Frederick Brennan or either of the Watkinses. So I was more interested in that stuff. And who Q was, which was supposed to be the central theme of the documentary, but ended up being kind of an ancillary theme, really.
The identity of Q.
The identity of Q.
Yeah.
It took a back seat so many times.
Yeah.
And it felt like they were trying so hard to frame the documentary series with that. And it kind of seemed like they were just they had so many balls in the air. It's like, okay, at the end of this episode, we'll hint that, oh, maybe this person's Q. And it's like, the conclusion it reaches, it's like, I mean, the second that like that person is asked directly that like on it, I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah, it's like they're playing their card way too early.
Right.
Yeah, should we talk more in spoilers?
Yeah, I think we should go into spoilers.
Any non-spoiler stuff?
The only other formatting thing I
yeah.
was curious about, do you guys think that he should have like waited a little bit longer to release this? Because like the last episode deals with like the insurrection, and that's pretty much the end of it. I mean, and since then, granted, I don't think there's been a whole lot going on with Q, but I find that whole aspect of it just almost equally fascinating. Like, what do these people do once it's almost proven that that nothing is going to happen? You know, like, should he have waited another like 6 months or whatever and gathered some more footage of, you know, these regular people who bought into this so much?
I would be more interested in seeing that explored than what we got here. And it's interesting because as someone who hasn't really read up on the kind of psychology of it and all the stuff that's been reported about QAnon and the QAnon followers and everything, I found that stuff in the documentary to be more compelling than the Philippines stuff and the legal battles and the social network stuff. And also, it felt like at a certain point, the documentary series just turned into the story of 8chan.
Yeah.
And like already, like from the outset, I'm like, I don't give a shit about this as a platform. I don't care about the legal struggles of it. I don't care about the stuff that they're talking about with this particular thing, because I think it's a dumpster fire of a thing anyway. I will say that the Fred Brennan, his story and his arc throughout it is interesting to me, is very interesting. And I will say that he's like the one person that I kind of at least got behind.
He's not despicable.
He's not totally despicable.
I mean,
he's not particularly likable either.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
No.
He's like got a MAGA hat in some scenes, and like maybe this is a spoiler thing, but yeah.
Okay.
But to answer your question, I'm actually happy with the timing of it, because I think just for the reason that obviously people aren't going to forget about the insurrection, but I'm glad it was released this was released within 3 months of the actual insurrection. Yeah. It's still very fresh in everyone's mind. I feel like they're still arresting people from it. So it's like, it's still a very recent thing. And I think I'm actually happy with that, but I do think you're right that maybe some more information could have come to light while he was essentially working on the final cut of this thing. And maybe if he had waited another 6 months, there could have been something else that came out, or a more conclusive thing for Q, I guess, or I don't know.
It would be interesting, and this is me making a wager, or making a proclamation,
a drop, reading, if you will.
Yes. In 6 months, HBO is going to have Q After the Storm. And that'll be the sequel to this documentary series that explores all of this stuff.
Yeah. I wouldn't be upset if there was a follow-up at some point.
Me either.
Yep. Should we go into spoilers?
Yeah,
sure.
All right, well, we're going to go into spoilers for Q Into the Storm. It is currently streaming on HBO Max, and to break up this review section, I'm going to play another clip from the trailer, and when we come back, we're going to be spoiling Q Into the Storm.
People conspiracy theorize about things that they think are powerful.
What did we conspire against?
Followers try to discredit reporters because we're required to find out if it's true or not.
It seems like Q's gone mainstream.
They don't care about all the people dying. They're lunatics running the asylum.
You can't expect to get counterpunched.
We have to go. We need to move.
Game over.
This Q thing is just exponential growth.
I think people are worried it's going to be used to radicalize more people.
Do you think that is warranted?
So, spoilers on for Q Into the Storm. Like I said, I I have no sympathy for people that fell in with the Q nonsense. I have no sympathy for the people who moderated the websites under the pretense of free speech and everything that let it fester and everything. I have no sympathy for really anyone in this documentary, with the slight exception of Fred Brennan, but he's not, that doesn't excuse him from letting it, grow out of his creation. And also, I thought it was I did find that interesting that he was he kind of his growth as a member of society. We live in a society. Is that he is a man with a disability who became entrenched in internet world. And the documentary series tries to kind of make this correlation between, well, his persona is molded and formed through the connections he makes online with people, and the socializing, like his socializing is through the internet, and that created in him this kind of border free, or what's the word I'm looking for? Like like a block. I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting so close to having to edit this part, but no, kind of this unfettered lack of consequences kind of thing. So when he did kind of recognize that, oh shit, this is the real world, this is influencing the real world, like that kind of felt a little bit performative in the documentary series, like kind of okay, this is the point where you have to have this kind of thing, but also
saving face.
Yeah.
But
it also, I do appreciate that they included it. So spoilers on Q Into the Storm. What'd you guys think?
Go. I'll let you go first, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, it is very easy to sympathize with Frederick Brennan, but like you were saying, he's not innocent in any of this. Like, he created it, and it spun out of control, and then the whole series is almost him fighting against it. And then I forget if it's the last episode or the second to last, when he basically just says, like, yeah, you guys can have it, but just change the name. That's all I care about.
Oh yeah.
That wasn't a good sign for him.
No.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The rest of it, I was, it's very easy to get on board with him, know. And he's a charismatic, he's funny, he's engaging, and he has a good relationship with the filmmaker. So it's easy to see why so much of the focus was on him. The rest, like both of the Watkins, though, like they are insane.
Oh, absolutely.
And it is absolutely easy to see why either one of them or both of them could be Q. So,
right.
Yeah. The way that the documentary kind of, first of all, I do think that Cullen Hoback I found it really compelling the way that he got close to the subjects. And his kind of congenital, no, his kind of, like, I guess friendship or closeness to the subjects that he's interviewing really went a long way to kind of demonstrate the trust that he has with the subjects, and kind of digging into all of that. So the way that he kind of gets Ron to sort of admit, like, I'm back and forth on it, because it feels like, okay, the documentary is clearly making it like pretty apparent that, like, okay, the position of the documentary is that Ron Watkins is Q, or is Q when he moved to 8chan. And it's like, it's this weird thing between the documentary wanting to explain to us why that's the case, and also Ron wanting to explain to us that he's Q, in the most, like, obvious way, like, yeah. And then when we had that big moment, I thought it was interesting that they laughed about it. I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't know. How did you feel about that kind of narrative thread throughout the documentary and the way that it came about at the end?
I mean, I think to me, it's borderline obvious that Ron and his dad are Q.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty much obvious to me, and I think it was from the get-go, because they're clearly, during all these interviews, it's not that they're being dishonest or that they're lying, but they're being clearly deceptive.
Yeah.
And they're clearly hiding something. Like, these guys they're not good actors. They're incredibly inconsistent. And it's just obvious that they're hiding something. And that
their socialization comes from like internet land.
Right. Yeah.
So they don't know how to interact with people.
They're used to working behind a wall of anonymity and working off of a keyboard instead of their mouths. And
much like we work behind a paywall. Check out patreon.com/obsessive viewer.
But it backfired so hard on the walk-ins. And I think Fred Brennan, while he's the most sympathetic of the three, and he's somewhat culpable in this, I think he was very much obsessed with his own image, and throughout all of this, when he was becoming a more sympathetic character, and he was sort of coming out as the more defensible of the three, he just threw himself into that in his online persona, because he was doing these interviews with Cullen Hoback and saying all these things, and then he would go on Twitter or wherever and just light up the walk-ins so hardcore, and it wasn't a good move on his part, and it kind of revealed that he was really just sort of obsessed with his image and maintaining his image online, and it sort of sullied his character, I think, in the documentary. But yeah, the both of the walk-ins are they're just like gross.
Oh, absolutely.
Very gross
100%.
people, and I'm not trying to like kink shame or anything. Like, be into whatever you're into, but it's like I can't even,
the way that they go about it to this guy who is almost a complete stranger to them is weird and gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't, I'm not sure if I really know people like that. And so it's hard for me to characterize them, even, because they're like used car salesmen who can't socialize.
Yeah.
It's like they forget your name, and they're like, oh no, I'm not into that thing that's on my search engine. Like, I'm not into that at all. Like, oh, I have this website that's the most politicized website in the entire fucking world, but I'm not political. Like,
right.
It's like, of course you are. Like, it's just right. I don't know. They were. Their deceptions were like it was almost like tongue in cheek. Like, no, I'm not Q. Wink, wink. Like,
because it's not real to them. It's trolling.
Yeah, right. It's not real to them. Yeah.
It's so, that's what I was kind of alluding to in the non-spoilers about the people that are kind of behind the scenes of the QAnon thing are just as pathetic as the people that fall into it, because finding a group or finding this kind of community with this just backwards ass fucking batshit insane conspiracy theory thing under the guise of like, oh, we're going to unite and save the world because of this. It's so fucking out there and crazy that like, if you fall into it and you actually believe it and you think like the world is going to change because of like this fucking internet message board that's anonymous, that purports to be this things that like, you're certifiable, you're fucking crazy, and I'm sorry, but pretty pathetic in that kind of viewpoint. And the people that are behind the scenes of that aren't they aren't these fucking crazy like madmen that are trying to destroy the world or anything. They're just as fucking sad and pathetic as any of the fucking community they've built.
Right. How old is the younger Watkins? Like 20, 23 or something?
In his 20s. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Probably.
Like, how much of your life did you have together when you were that old?
Yeah.
I mean, granted, none of us were running one of the most popular websites in the world.
Right. That didn't come until
except
2013. ObsessiveViewer.com.
Yeah. I agree. I wonder, it'd be very interesting to see again, a psychologist analyze both of those men, but especially Ron, the younger guy, because I would venture to say, again, this is not, I'm not an expert, but I would venture to say he's probably on the spectrum somewhere.
Yeah.
And that he might also have like a narcissistic personality disorder or something like that, some kind of delusion of grandeur, something like that. I'm because I feel like he's so blatantly disregarding of the social aspect of what he's doing that I think it's because he doesn't understand social interaction, and it's because he can't, because he has a disorder, or like he's on the spectrum or something like that. Like there's a social aspect to both of them, but Ron especially.
And it feels like most of that is derived from his dad and the way he was brought up.
Right.
And I'm curious, like, if he were to be isolated from his dad for like 5 years, how much of his personality would change, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Tell me if this is a connection worth making. But I started
letter of the second phrasing of the
wait a minute, how many letters are in that sentence? This is kind of what kind of popped in my head as I was watching this, especially the whole Philippines crap. Is there any connection worth making between this and like Tiger King, or like Matt, I know you watch this tiny, I don't know if you did, Class Action Park.
Oh yeah.
These kind of documentaries about these crazy people who have these power fantasies, you know.
I didn't watch that one, but
is there, I mean, maybe it's just two totally different things, but
I can kind of see where you're going with that, and I can kind of get behind that. In terms of Tiger King, I and also with Ron Watkins, who is apparently, according to Wikipedia, either 33 or 34.
Okay.
So
guess I need to move to the Philippines.
Right.
He seems like he's about 15.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
As does everyone that's on fucking 4chan. and
Right.
8chan.
Right.
Anyway, so like the kind of correlation that I make with Tiger King and QAnon and everything is this idea of propping up figures that are completely self-destructive or completely self-delusional. And that's a problem that I had with Tiger King's kind of cultural phenomenon last year, was that people were entertained by this guy that is just a complete unrepentant jackass, dipshit, fucking hostile narcissist. And like that I made the correlation when we talked about it on the podcast, but like that was like, this is why fucking idiots get behind Trump, because Trump says what he means. He's not a real politician, so he can say whatever he wants and everything. It's like, yeah, but he's also a shitty fucking person. Like, don't celebrate shitty people and shitty behavior just because you want to live vicariously through their, their complete sociopathic and psychopathic lack of empathy or filter in their shit. So yeah, that's the correlation that I make, is that people that have this kind of complete break with reality, and they just fall into this idea rather than rather than explore consequences. Like people when Tiger King came out, they were all like, oh, that fucking bitch Carol Baskin, and she killed her husband and stuff. It's like, there's no evidence of that.
It was just a bunch of memes to everyone.
Right. Yes.
When
and it's like,
behind this was real people being affected by this stuff.
Yeah. Which I'm so excited, because I've been thinking of this stupid thing. I'll get us there. So back to Q Into the Storm, when they were doing, when they were showing the Q-tubers and everything, which I didn't know that was actually a fucking term. And I got kind of
neither.
Annoyed. Yeah. I started thinking, like, it would be incredibly easy, since there's not like a fucking playbook or anything or morals or anything. It would be completely like possible to, at the right time, start your own fucking channel, make a fucking shit ton of money just feeding the fuel of this and everything. And I kind of started thinking like, man, if I could have gotten into that just to exploit these people that are blindly following this bullshit. And I was just like, no, I wouldn't have like the morals of that. like I couldn't like live with myself if I were to do that or anything. But, and then the kind of anecdote that I've been thinking, because I've been thinking about the rise of true crime stuff, is that if I wanted to make like a living podcasting and stuff, I would just start a true crime podcast so I can get day drunk and like riff about, make jokes about the Wikipedia page for stories about the worst days of people's lives, because that's all fucking true crime podcasts seem to be.
Yeah.
Anyway, that got away from me. Anyway, so
well, yeah. I do think it's an interesting parallel to draw Tiger King in this, and I think more specifically Joe Exotic and the Watkinses. I think it's an interesting parallel because I think both people or both sets of people don't really see the error in their ways.
Yeah.
To an extent, I think there was that one moment of clarity with Joe Exotic where he talked about basically the abuse and the suffering of the animals. I think it was in the last episode or one of the last, I can't remember exactly. I haven't watched that in a while, but that was a strangely clairvoyant moment for him. But other than that, it's all, he never acknowledges the hell that he put his two husbands through and their families and his family and all the people who worked for him and all that terrible shit. And then there's other people in the Tiger King documentary, like that other guy, I don't remember his fucking name, who had the ponytail and all the different wives. Yeah. That guy.
Right, yeah.
Clearly narcissistic, loves the power and all that stuff. It is an interesting parallel to draw, and I think there's a surge of a popularity of those kinds of people, and it's really destructive, most notably Donald Trump. Right. That's the obvious case, but it's a very disturbing trend. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Really would not be surprised if any of the people from Tiger King are now QAnon people.
Oh,
right. Oh,
God,
absolutely.
yeah, totally.
It's interesting because I kind of feel like to kind of, if you were to sum up, if not the entire Trump presidency era, if not that, then at least the back half, the last 2 years of it, it kind of seems like it feeds in all of like everything around it, like the Tiger King phenomenon, QAnon bullshit, the election and COVID and the pandemic and everything, all of that like the thriving of people and supporters thriving off of a lack of accountability and a lack of consequence or anything. And it's just this weird fucking power fantasy for a lot of people. I have no doubt that a lot of a fair amount of the kind of more ardent Trump supporters were all like, "Oh, I just want the fucking power. Like he's powerful. He knows he's in power, and it pisses people off that he's in power. So I'm gonna love him unconditionally because I'm a fucking sociopath."
Yeah.
And same with QAnon.
It's people taking things that should just be entertaining from a distance and giving them power.
Yeah.
Like Donald Trump was fine when he was hosting The Apprentice, and well, but he didn't have fucking nuclear launch codes, right? And
he didn't get thousands of Americans killed.
Right. Joe Exotic was entertaining in a way from a distance.
Yeah.
Right. But now people are, after the documentary, people want him freed and shit like that. And you know, there's other examples too that I don't care to think of, but the Q shit just blew up, and these fucking Q people got elected to Congress. Like, it's just it's gone. It's reality TV gone out of control.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's unfortunately likely only going to get worse. I mean, there's more and more QAnon people who are running for Congress, and I mean, just this past weekend. Thank God it failed, but there was the fucking Anglo-Saxon caucus or whatever.
What the fuck?
Yeah, good lord.
Who comes up in the documentary, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah,
right.
Fucking terrible person. She also trolled her, like the the person whose office is like across from hers,
right? Yeah,
with, like anti-LGBTQ stuff. Who the person who is like was pointed at has a daughter that's transgender, I think. So it was like literally like a personal attack on this person just for fucking trolling her. I don't know. Anyway, so cue Into the Storm. I just coughed. Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway, how'd you guys feel overall? And we can kind of wrap up.
It's pretty depressing, really. I think it's easy to sit back, and the three of us are fairly rational people, and see this as something ridiculous and crazy, and I think there's going to be too many people who want to write off what happened as this weird fluke or
this weird fringe thing that's not going to come back to bite us in the ass or anything,
right? Or as not a piece of a puzzle or a piece of a pattern like it actually is,
right?
Like we were all talking about, and that's really unfortunate. I don't think the documentary was trying to do that. I think he had a goal in mind, but I think it could, again, like Tiger King, it could be this kind of like fun thing that just turns into a meme that we share across the internet 1,000 times, and it's I hope it doesn't go that route, but again, overall, it was to kind of get to the art of it, I guess, the obsessive viewing of it. It was definitely a quality documentary, and again, I'm really impressed with the 3 years of filming and the immersive nature of his interviewing. He threw himself into this, and I think, like Matt was saying, he basically became friends with these guys.
Right.
I was blown away when he basically dropped what he was doing in the middle of the night and flew to the fucking Philippines to get Frederick Brennan out of there because he was going to go to jail. And I was like, that's like, I mean, if that happened to you, Matt, I'd be like,
well, yeah,
I'll send you $20. Like,
right.
Good luck. I mean, and he barely fucking knows this guy. Right. I'm kidding. I would fly to Manila for you. I would fly to Manila for you. I'm kidding.
Thank you.
But I wouldn't do it for some guy I barely know. You know. It's an amazing thing. Yeah. But again, I had my issues with it. You know, I think it was a little long and it got a little bogged down at times, but I do think it was necessary to contextualize a lot of this stuff because someone like me and someone who's even less who was even less informed about what Q is would be completely lost if you didn't do that. So
right.
I understand he had to play a balance there. So
yeah. And two things. One is you said it was what did you say was unfortunate about it? That it was this is a stupid callback.
People might write it off as just like a joke, fluke thing.
Yeah, and that would be very unfortunate.
God damn it.
And also, I would totally go with you to a tow company to get your car back in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ben, overall thoughts? Any parting thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm glad that it exists in this form. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there are some documentaries or video essays or whatever that have dealt with this, but I'm glad that it exists in this form and that HBO backed it. Yeah, I definitely agree. It could have and probably should have been a little shorter. But yeah, like just personally, like I said, I had pretty much already known most of this. If people are interested in what we've talked about but don't have 6 hours to spend, like I said, there's a Reply All episode that's pretty good. There's a New York Times podcast series called Rabbit Hole that is not very long. It might be like 8 episodes that deals a lot with like internet rabbit holes in it, YouTube people who get sucked into these, these conspiracy theories and these weird corners of the internet, but also QAnon. So check that out too if you if you're bored at work or something one day and want to listen to something.
Yeah. Or you can bypass all of that and listen to the Obsessive Viewer anthology or Tower Trunk.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Hey, thanks for being a patron. So, okay, that's our review of Q Into the Storm. All right, well, that is our review of Q Into the Storm, and I do want to do a quick potpourri if you guys are game for it. Okay. Do you want me to go first? Because I can talk about Voyagers and how it wasn't that good.
Curious.
Okay.
Sure.
So as I said at the top of the episode, I did go see a movie in the theater for the first time in 13 months. Just, God, it was so good to be back in the theater. I even got myself like a soda and some Reese's Pieces. And then just had to pee like a motherfucker after it. But it was, God, it was so good. But
how crowded was it?
Oh, that's a good question. So when I got to the theater, okay, I forgot to mention this at the top, but I did record 2 videos of myself just geeking out about it. And I was going to post it on Patreon. I don't know if I still am because I want to put them together because I had one video that's like 4 minutes of me beforehand and then one after of me just in the car talking about the movie. I don't know. I look like garbage because I didn't have time to shave in the morning. But anyway, so I was all excited about that. And then in terms of it being crowded, I mean, very little cars in the parking lot. Like there was hardly anyone there, which was weird. I mean, it was a Monday afternoon, but it also just felt like that. Like obviously the reason why is because of COVID. But the actual theater itself was 3 people in front of me in the row in front of me, and then like 1 or 2 people kind of down at the bottom. And that was it, it was nice. It was, it almost felt kind of, if not normal for a Monday, it kind of felt like, comparable to, a Monday afternoon viewing of a movie that had been out for like a month and was like at the end of its run in the normal days.
Mm-hmm.
I will say the AMC theater that I frequent, and AMC as a chain does have still have a mask policy. You're required to wear masks at all times unless you're enjoying their beverages or drinks or food or snacks. And that was cool. People in the front of me did not have masks on, like at any point. But anyway, so it wasn't that crowded and everything. And I was so tempted. I almost went and saw In the Earth. Today after work. But I didn't. But I did reactivate my A-list and everything, so I have A-list again. Nice. And it's just, God, it's so good. It feels so good. But Voyagers was not a good movie at all. And not at all. Like, it actually was a little bit better than I expected. So Voyagers is essentially, it's essentially, what is the book? Lord of the Flies in Space. And like it's about I'll just read the plot summary. So a crew of astronauts on a multi-generation mission descend into paranoia and madness, not knowing what is real or not. And that's kind of a misleading kind of description, but it stars Colin Farrell, Ty Sheridan, Lily Rose Depp, who all throughout the movie, like Lily Rose Depp did a good job, but all through the movie, I was like, she reminds me so much of someone that I saw recently, and I couldn't place it. Wasn't until I got in my car.
Johnny Depp?
Like, no. No.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. She reminds me a lot of a slightly younger Odessa Young from The Stand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, also, Isaac Hempstead Wright.
Oh, really? He's in it?
Yeah, Bran, not Bran,
yeah.
but Bran from Game of Thrones. It is so I don't know if he had like a bigger role and it just got cut down in editing, but like it is so weird that they have an actor that was in what 8 seasons of Game of Thrones? 8.
Yeah.
8 seasons of Game of Thrones. Well, he was out for a season or 2, but throughout all of Game of Thrones, and like he's given fucking nothing. Like,
really?
It was so weird because throughout the movie I was like, that is him, right? Like, why would they cast him? Like, why would they have like that name, that fairly big name of an actor in terms of the rest of the cast, essentially, for a completely nothing role, like at all. So that was weird, but it kind of goes like it is Lord of the Flies in space. Basically, these kids they're hitting puberty and everything, and their hormones are raging, but the scientist Colin Farrell has been in human society. The idea is that they are going to a planet that's going to take them. It's a generation ship. It's going to take them decades to reach. So they're going to repopulate. And then the next generation is going to be the one that settles the planet, or the generation after their generation. So their grandchildren. So they are drugged every day with this blue liquid, and then they figure out like, in the very hacky way, like, we need to stop taking the blue. And then when they do, they immediately like, I'm horny and I'm angry. And I'm jealous. And like some of that stuff is kind of interesting. But they don't really do much with it. It's slightly, no, I won't say that it's gratuitous or anything, but like there's an assault scene that's like, I kind of feel like should have been dealt with a little bit more care, like a physical assault. But once at that point, it starts kind of going through the paces. It's like, okay, if you know the story of Lord of the Flies, you know what's going to happen, like the different factions or whatever, like what they're confused about and everything. But then also it just kind of like, what's going to happen to this character and this character. So I don't know. It was a little bit better than I expected. It looked a lot better than I expected it to. Like the exterior shots of the spaceship is cool, but had it not been the first movie I saw in a theater in 13 months, I'm pretty sure I would have already forgotten about it. So yeah, that's Voyagers. I mean, it just felt like it was running through the paces and didn't really know what to do with the kind of big themes and story, or like the big implications of the story elements that it was playing with. Yeah. And I said in the video that I may or may not post on Patreon, but if you're interested in Voyagers, either read Lord of the Flies or read Seven Eves by Neil Stevenson, because that's a much better kind of exploration of that type of story.
Seven Eves is so cool.
So good. So good. Yeah. So that's my potpourri. By the way, I didn't mention, potpourri is a section of the podcast where we talk about whatever we want, so kind of wind down the podcast. So that's my potpourri, and who wants to go next?
I can go next.
Okay, yeah.
Sure.
Ben just grabbed his bottle. So,
real quick, Matt, will you be returning to the theater this weekend to see Mortal Kombat?
I honestly might. Like,
Nice.
I had this idea, and I don't think I'll do it, not this weekend at least, but like, because I was so antsy to get back into the movie theater. I was like, by the way, I did wear a mask the entire time, and everything. And I was I did the bare minimum.
Fucking sheep. Yeah, I'm kidding.
I did cover my nose, Tiny.
What are you trying to say?
Patreon.com/obsessive. But no, I had this thought like, oh my God, like I'm gonna spend a day in the movie theater just watching movies. Like that's what I'm gonna do. But then like after that I was like, I don't know if I'm really comfortable doing that. But I will probably see Mortal Kombat and other stuff.
Nice.
Because it's just that A-list thing.
It's your jam.
It is my jam. It is what I do. It's what I'm known for. So yeah. So anyway, that's my potpourri. There are many like it, but this one's mine. When we go one, we go all. Whatever.
Yeah. I don't think I like Ty Sheridan, the actor.
Oh yeah, he didn't do anything for me in the movie.
I've never. Yeah. I'm not a fan. I just don't think he's that great. So I was going to bring up, over the weekend I watched Promising Young Woman.
Oh, interesting.
Which I hadn't seen. Nice. Just kind of saw it and rented it. And I goddamn fucking loved it.
Interesting.
So
nice.
I thought it was amazing. I was really blown away. It was such an incredible idea for a movie. And it definitely had like an agenda or like a message, but it wasn't like it wasn't like annoyingly hitting you over the head with it. I think all of the interactions and like the misogyny and shit like that all felt pretty organic. I think some of it was a little stagey and a little unrealistic to an extent, but it overall I think it was a pretty organic feeling movie. At least the scenarios were and all that stuff. And then I was just blown away by Carey Mulligan.
Oh yeah,
She was so damn good, just incredible. I also I just adore Bo Burnham. It was a really, really interesting role to see him in. He still was doing his thing. He was still really funny, but had this really serious arc, which really showcased his skills as an actor. So I really love those two performances. But yeah, just an incredibly powerful movie. And just such an original movie too. It's incredible that somebody made a movie like that and had the mind to write and direct and produce that movie. Which I can't remember her name, but she plays. She's an actor and she's in The Crown. She plays what's her face? I can't remember. One of the people in The Crown. I should have looked it up before I started talking about it.
The Queen?
Who does she play in Promising Young Woman?
I don't think she acts in the movie. She's the writer, director, producer.
Emerald Fennell?
Emerald Fennell, yeah.
She is the showrunner for Killing Eve.
Okay.
She might be in The Crown as an actor.
I'm almost positive she plays Camilla. Camilla, what's her face? Yeah.
Yeah, Camilla Parker Bowes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just looked it up.
Yeah. So I listened to an interview with her on NPR where she was talking about writing this movie. But it would have totally been. I wish I would have seen it last year. It would have been in my top 10 for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. You guys have both seen it, right?
Yes. Oh, yes.
And Matt, was it like in your honorable mentions?
It was in my top 10.
Wasn't it? I couldn't remember.
Yeah, I had, and I've wanted to revisit it because it's an interesting movie. I was floored by it, and then as I kind of had more conversations and everything, like with Ben and with our friend Evan from the IFJ, it's something that I need to revisit and everything. But the thing that really stood out to me, and I really love, to your point, Tiny, about the uniqueness of it, is the way that it develops or depicts that misogyny in the way that every male character in that movie, with the exception of Bo Burnham, who's kind of the good one for a bit, I guess, or the more like he's the outlier of this, but every male character is intentionally in a different movie in this very heightened raunchy comedy type of movie.
Yep.
And that juxtaposition with a revenge thriller kind of thing with Carey Mulligan's character, with all the men characters being like this just heightened kind of almost parody of the classic bro out dude movie thing, and kind of reckoning with the consequences of that is really interesting.
Yeah,
where did it fall on your list, Ben? I forget.
It was not in my top 10. I forget if I saw it in 2020.
Okay.
Because it was either right at the end of 2020 or right at the beginning of 21.
Okay.
But to go along with what Matt was saying, when the first time I watched it, I was really impressed with each of her different marks, or even really all of the different guys. They all have their own different excuse for being in the situation that they're in.
They follow their own internal logic,
right? Yeah. And they all play as things that we've all heard before as just different excuses from terrible people.
Yeah.
So that was a part of the script that I really enjoyed.
Nice. Yeah, I was kind of blown away by it.
Yeah.
And I think still, I would say it's probably my favorite cast of 2020, top to bottom.
Nice.
I loved her parents. I loved all of the different Mark guys, like Christopher Mintz-Plasse, Sam Richardson.
Yes. Adam Brody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Sam Richardson, by the way, love him.
Yeah.
Detroiters is amazing if you haven't seen it, and also he's in a couple sketches on. I think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson.
Mm-hmm. And even is it Jake Johnson from New Girl?
No,
Schmidt.
Yeah,
not Jake Johnson.
Not Jake Johnson, but
Max Greenfield.
Max Greenfield.
Yes. He was great too.
Yeah,
he was really utilized really well.
Totally.
Oh yeah, we'll have to talk off mic about the ending because it's very controversial and very kind of. I feel like the ending of that movie makes or breaks that movie for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that's where my big conflict with it comes into play. But I was kind of. It was a movie that I spent the majority of the next day and a half after seeing it just contemplating and just letting it sit with me and everything. And it was very close to being my number one movie of the year. But
wow.
I had also just gone through fucking having COVID and postponing the recording so much because I didn't want to figure out my top 10.
Yeah.
So I think I ended up just having it. I'm thinking of ending things.
Max Greenfield had one of the most epic douchey lines I've ever heard in my life in that movie, where he said he was talking about a girl. I think it was a bridesmaid or something, and he was like, "Yeah, she's a yoga instructor, so." You could come on her ass and her face at the same time or something like that.
Jesus
and he says it to Bo Burnham, and Bo Burnham's like, "Oh, yeah." I was like, "That's exactly how I would respond to it."
Jesus.
It's one of the douchiest things I've ever heard.
Yeah.
He one of the things that he probably wasn't even trying this, but he has a way of just there's a moment at the very end when he is staring into a fire. And just the way that he is staring at that fire is just funny to me. Just the face that he makes is just...
Yeah.
He's a very physical actor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious, had you heard anything about the critical backlash to it or anything like that?
No, not at all.
Or have you looked into it?
I haven't, no.
Okay.
I'm curious.
We'll have to talk about that off mic because, I wasn't aware of it going into it, and for a little bit afterwards, I had not really bought into it, but I wouldn't say I've turned the corner on it, but I can understand where people are coming from.
Okay.
But we'll talk off mic.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's Tiny's Potpourri. Ben, do you want to round us out?
Sure. So I've kind of got two, if you'll allow it.
Absolutely.
Real quick, one is a series on HBO Max called Infinity Train. Are you guys... Doesn't look like you're familiar.
No, not at all.
Are you guys fans or familiar at all with the show Adventure Time from Cartoon Network?
I've never seen it. I'm aware of it and everything.
Okay.
But I've never seen
Same. Yeah, I've heard of it. But
okay.
Yeah.
Well, Adventure Time is probably it might be a top 10 show of all time for me.
Nice.
And Infinity Train is kind of in that same mold. It's this very it's an animated cartoon, and I don't believe it's made by the same people, but it has a very similar
style.
animation style. Yeah. Usually very bright, very kind of silly attitude a lot of the time. But still very much I don't think I would let my kids watch this. I would let them watch Adventure Time because it's a lot more kid friendly. But this, and this isn't really it gets to some dark places, but not anything super adult. But it's an interesting little. So the central concept basically is each season deals with a different protagonist who finds themselves stuck on this infinity train that is just this endless train, gigantic train that is just going nowhere. And in each train car are these different little worlds, and they have to navigate each car and the whole overarching theme to it is basically it's a big extended therapy metaphor. They have to like try to figure out how to fix their real world problems in one way or another.
Sorry. It's this big endless train that has no end in sight or anything, and it's all a big metaphor for therapy and fixing their real world problems and everything. Are you talking about Infinity Train or this podcast for me?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Matt. That's what I'm really here for.
You said it, not us.
So it's a really fun, inventive show. Each episode is only like 11 minutes. Mm-hmm. So, and there's only 10 episodes per season. Okay. The fourth season, which is, as far as I know, the last season, just dropped actually this past week on HBO Max. Wow. So it's super quick and easy to get through. I mean, you could watch an entire season in the less than the time it would take to, I don't know, say, just for an example, watch a David Fincher movie about the process of creating the screenplay for Citizen Kane.
I see what you're doing. Yeah, I've just been super busy watching everything else except for that.
Tiny, have you seen Mank yet?
No, I haven't watched it yet.
Tiny, God.
I know, right?
You gotta.
Speaking of extended metaphors. So, yeah. And the voice cast is really great. There's some good cameos. J.K. Simmons was on the most recent one. Nice. Lena Headey pops in every once in a while. I think in every season. There's some really funny, like, I think every season has these little, like, robot or anthropomorphic companions. But yeah, quick and easy little show. The other one that I wanted to bring up is the Amazon series Invincible.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought. I haven't watched it, but I'm very curious about that.
Okay. So it's based on a comic book series, I think, from Robert Kirkman, creator of The Walking Dead. And it's, I've really enjoyed it so far. There's 6 episodes out. They come out every Friday. I don't know how many episodes are going to be in the first season, maybe 8 or 10. But it's a superhero show. The way I kind of think about it is kind of like The Watchmen meets like Spider-Man or the Avengers. It's basically like Stephen Yeun is the main character. He's this high schooler who learns he has superpowers, and his dad is basically Superman. And it's a world with, you know, tons of other superheroes. They form these leagues, and there's this government agency that overruns or oversees them. And they deal with, you know, alien invaders and crime sprees and whatnot. But I've really enjoyed it so far. Plus the cast, the voice cast is just incredible. I mean, Stephen Yeun, Sandra Oh, J.K. Simmons. J.K. Simmons plays Stephen Yeun's dad. Zazie Beetz, Walton Goggins, Gillian Jacobs, Andrew Rannells, Zachary Quinto, Jason Mantzoukas, Mark Hamill pops in once or twice.
Wow.
Mahershala Ali. I mean, I could keep going, but just every episode is just tons of great voice actors.
The thing that really appeals to me about what I've seen of it, and makes me interested in seeing it, is the animation style, because it looks, it's a dead ringer for like classic Saturday morning cartoons, like superhero cartoons. Right. So that makes me just very giddy to watch it.
I definitely agree. The action scenes are well animated and they look cool.
Nice.
It's kind of weird, like, and maybe this is just me, but like the more casual kind of dialogue scenes, I don't know, they just kind of look and feel kind of funny. Like only their eyebrows will move or only their mouths will move. I don't know, it's kind of weird. Maybe if you check it out, let me know if I'm crazy or not.
By the way, it's 8 episodes. The final episode is going to air April 30th, and they're 48 hour long episodes. Yeah. 48-minute hour long episodes.
The only other thing that I'll note is that it is super violent. Nice. Especially the end of the first episode is gross, almost like heads getting ripped off and arms being ripped off and eyeballs being gouged out, and it's a lot. I mean, fortunately from there it kind of tones down a little bit, but it's still almost every episode has at least one moment where it's super violent and dark. Wow. So if that's not your thing, then probably avoid it. But yeah, I've been enjoying it so far.
Sweet.
Cool.
I'll probably watch it and check it out soon.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that rounds us out for this episode of The Obsessive Viewer. Yep. Next time, at some point, we're gonna do Ebert's Great Movies List, Part 8, with Tiny. We're gonna be talking about Paths of Glory, The Searchers.
Yep.
And whatever movie I picked.
The Circus.
The Circus. Oh, yeah, because it was only like 70 minutes long. In The Circus. So that's your guys' homework, both here and the listeners. And we might do an Oscar wrap-up kind of thing and maybe a Stowaway review. I don't know. But anyway, check out our other shows. Tiny and I will eventually do another Tower Junkies at some point, and I'm killing it with, anthology. So check all that out. And just want to say once again, thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. And now, here's a short clip from our Patreon exclusive RSS feed. To hear the full clip and more exclusive Patreon content, go to patreon.com/obsessiveviewer and become a patron at the minimum rate of $1 per month. Thank you and enjoy. No, I've cried a lot. I've cried a fair amount.
Suddenly he changes the story.
Well, I just wanted. I don't want to put up a front for the listeners and everything, because they're actually paying me for this. I'm gonna cry right now.
Let's let them see the real, authentic Matt.
Yes. So I was just gonna do a stupid thing. Be like, all right, this is DJ Matt.
You usually don't announce the stupid
I know,
things.
well, because I just started laughing and it would have been weird. But here's the real authentic Matt. This is DJ Matty Fresh.
All right, I think we're done. I think we've given the people what they want.
Yeah.
The Obsessive Viewer podcast is edited and produced by Matt Hurt and presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. For a full archive of our episodes, go to obsessiveviewer.com/OV archive. You can also like our Facebook page and join the OV Facebook group at facebook.com/theobsessiveviewer, and follow us on Twitter at ObsessiveViewer and at ObsessiveTiny, and follow our recurring co-hosts at I am Mike White, that's me, at R.A. Feckus, and at Burger_Lurker. If you enjoy the show, please take a couple minutes to leave us a rating and a quick review on Apple Podcasts. This is the easiest way to support what we do, and all it costs is a little bit of your time. If you'd like to donate to the podcast, you can make a PayPal donation at obsessiveviewer.com/donate, or support us on Patreon for recurring donations and access to commentary tracks and B-roll audio recorded exclusively for patrons at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. Every donation goes toward paying the fees to keep the podcast running and is greatly appreciated. For official Obsessive Viewer merch, including shirts, mugs, phone cases, and more, visit our TeePublic store. You can find a link to the store in the show notes of this episode and at obsessiveviewer.com/donate. Or you can simply search for Obsessive Viewer at teepublic.com, T-E-E, public.com. For information about our annual live event showcasing short horror films from local filmmakers, check out shocktober.irvington.com. And for an archive of all our events, as well as news about potential future events, head over to obsessiveviewer.com/live. For more podcast content, you can find Anthology, Matt's solo podcast covering The Twilight Zone and other classic and contemporary science fiction anthology TV shows at anthologypod.com and on Twitter at OVAnthologyPod. You can also find Tower Junkies, a podcast where Matt and Tiny share their love of all things Stephen King and his magnum opus, The Dark Tower series, at towerjunkiespod.com and at towerjunkiespod on Twitter. And finally, check out The Secular Perspective, Tiny's side project podcast, which tackles current events and life's big questions from the perspective of secular hosts Chad and Amanda at thesecularperspective.com. The theme music for The Obsessive Viewer comes courtesy of the band Loudlike from their EP Mistakes We Must Make. Additional bumper music is provided courtesy of As Good As It Gets, which can be found at facebook.com/asgoodasitgetsband. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Kitty!